What's up, guys? It's your boys, Taylor and Taylor, coming back at you with another episode of the Empirical Scouting Podcast. Today, we're going to wrap up the quarterback position by giving you our thoughts on some of the remaining quarterbacks in this year's class. If you haven't already, I would highly suggest going back and watching our previous episodes where we cover the top 6 quarterbacks, quote-unquote: Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, Jayden Daniels, Bo Nix, JJ McCarthy, and Michael Penix Jr. So Taylor, like I said, we're going to hit on some of the remaining quarterbacks left in this class. So I'm going to give you the open floor and bring up your first quarterback.
I mean, the easy guy to go with is definitely Spencer Rattler. He showed out at the Senior Bowl. He's the next biggest name, I guess, so to speak, in the class. And, going through and watching him, there was regrading him from the summer. There was a lot that I liked when you watch him play. I went through and did the Twitter thread earlier today. If you haven't checked out our Twitter, I go through and I try to do at least a little bit of hitting on, my thought process for some of these bigger name guys so that there's some insight into what I'm saying, so that my thought process isn't just, hey, I think he throws the ball nice. But, you get a throw like this. This kind of arm talent isn't something that comes around every day. He's making this throw, fading back, it's got velocity on it. It's accurate. It's a great throw. It really is. And, he doesn't just go out there and wing it every play. You can see when you watch this clip through, he does a quick high-low read. So, you see him do at least some progressions. It's not just one read and done. Like, you can see his face or his head. He checks both the receivers here first before he just immediately goes to the running back. So it's nice to see at least he's got some kind of process. Off the top of my head, I do remember from last year, I did see him do full field progressions. So it's possible. I don't know if he really had the chance to do a lot of that this year because that offensive line, God, it was hard to watch him play behind that offensive line, truly.
It was really bad.
That was really my, first thing I thought of when I was going through the tape with him is that, he did the best he could with that situation. He definitely had some receiving talent, but, the guy had some bad offensive line and blocking. And really what it made me wonder was I really tried to look it up and see if it was anywhere. I couldn't find who calls the protections in that offense. Because sometimes in college, quarterbacks will get that responsibility. I want to say Bryce Young had it. I think Drake Maye has it for UNC, but, I couldn't find anything. And typically, unless it's explicitly stated, most of the time it's an offensive lineman, usually, the center that's making those protection calls. But whoever it was, I don't think did the greatest job. And that's why I wanted to know if it was him, because if it was him, I don't think he was doing the best job personally. But that was the hardest thing about his film.
Yeah, no, I agree. I remember, that the first episode we had when I said I was going to be higher on someone else, which again, I want for the record, that was before the Senior Bowl. It was this man right here. Just because, mainly because when you get to this point of the draft, because he's not going, he's definitely not going round 1. He's probably not going round 2. Round 3 is where I could see someone taking the shot on him. When you get to that level, you're taking the chance on what you've seen on tape and the traits. And like you said, that arm talent is special. Not many quarterbacks recently have that kind of arm.
Right.
And that ball, the ball just noticeably rockets out of his hand. It's other than one other quarterback in this class, there's no one else in this class that the ball jumps out of their hand like it does for Spencer Rattler.
Right. So this clip here that I just put up on the screen, that's a special freaking throw right there. This guy's fading away off, platform, putting it pretty much on a rope into the back of the end zone perfectly. That's a really special throw. I did have, a slight hiccup, or not hiccup, but, being nitpicky here. I don't love that he kind of bails on a clean pocket to make this throw because, right here, like he can stand in this pocket. He doesn't have to go makes this throw harder on himself than he needs to.
But I mean, when you go through what he probably went through back there, I don't know if you're trusting your offensive line. And if you see space, you're going to roll out to, especially because he obviously knows the route, and he knows probably where he's going by then already. So he's just getting him a clean pocket. So, or I guess not really a pocket, but he's trying to get into some space so he knows he'll be able to throw the ball.
Definitely. I mean, you're definitely like I do agree, and I know that is being nitpicky on such a great play. It is something though he does tend to do. I'm just going to hit on quickly some of like the things I didn't love that he does. He can be kind of late on timing throws. So like this is a slant route. It's really easy. Or I shouldn't say really easy. I can't do it. So, but and I know he's got pressure in his face, but he's late on the throw. Like he clearly could have released this ball a little bit earlier or, threw to a different spot, but he's throwing behind his receiver. And you kind of see those things recurring, slants or quick dump offs or hitches, stuff like that. He can be kind of late on those sometimes. And I don't think it's like an anticipation problem because you can see him make throws with anticipation. I think it's just like he kind of will hold it looking for the bigger play at times. And then, you kind of get into stuff like this. So my biggest thing with Spencer Rattler since he was at Oklahoma is he does plays like this, which are awesome, like when they work, but they don't always work. And it's reminiscent of Johnny Manziel, which we know that doesn't necessarily translate. And so, like, Rattler, since he's come into college, has always been a guy I said to people was like, he's mini Mahomes. He's Mahomes, but shorter. And they're probably similar athletes, truly, and Rattler's just smaller. But Patrick Mahomes is Patrick freaking Mahomes. And Spencer Rattler's not Patrick Mahomes.
I do like you get Johnny Manziel vibes from ever since his freshman year. It's just if Johnny Manziel had more God-given talent, I should say.
Yes. Oh, yes. Definitely.
Manziel didn't have this kind of arm. Yeah. The arm talent that Rattler has is
but way better than Manziel. Play here is a pure, like, overconfident, like, I think my arm can outthrow it type of play here. You know what I mean? Like, either you're looking at this two ways. Either he's trying to throw to the receiver up this, hash, which
it looks like
not a great throw, not a great decision, or he was aiming for this guy over here, and I would say that's not a great decision, and it's inaccurate at that point. Either way, this is like
there was definitely some instances where the ball kind of gets away from him, and he has some accuracy issues along with the decision making that is pretty noticeable. And I don't know. I think the talent there is special. We've seen him for many years now, and some of those throws, whether it's decision making or accuracy, is just something that he hasn't really seen to grow, to get better at. And that's something I would want to see at the next level because obviously you have less chances to make mistakes at the next level than you did at South Carolina and Oklahoma.
Right. So all in all, kind of putting it all together, the big picture, I ended up having like a 3rd round grade on Rattler. I comped him to Zach Wilson because Zach Wilson, when he was coming in, had all the Mahomes comparisons. Like that was like the thought process with him is, this guy's out here making these crazy throws, sidearm and off platform and out of structure and stuff like that. And people thought like, okay, Mahomes is changing the way quarterbacks are played. Like Wilson's that next like type of guy in that mold. And like we've seen issues with Zach Wilson more than just on the field. Like we've seen Zach Wilson's personality kind of bleed off, or come off poorly. And, a lot of like, from what I understand and I've heard is like Rattler's matured and not the same person he was on QB1 when he was a senior in high school. And like, I defend him honestly more than a lot of people. Cause like when you put it in perspective, you're 17, 18 years old. You're the number 1 recruit in the nation, a 5-star quarterback. you're the most popular guy in your high school. You've been the most popular guy in your high school. You've been the most popular kid your almost entire life. You know you're good at football. You run the place pretty much at that point. And he was like a starting basketball player too with Nico Mannion on that basketball team. Like he ran that place in high school. So when you're 16, 17, 18, like it's hard not to be overconfident and cocky and stuff like that in that kind of situation for kids. It really, like, just being fair to them.
No, I agree. You could handle it better. I mean, there's been plenty before and plenty after that will handle it a lot better. He didn't handle it the best way. But, at the end of the day, you're still a teenage kid. That's just how it is.
Yeah, I mean, I was a complete POS at that age, and I wasn't like, I'm sure if you ask certain people, they thought I had I was cocky, and then you ask other people, I was quiet. It just depends. But from what I understand, he's grown, and he's not that same kid anymore. But at the same time, like, we saw those personality concerns bleed, like, kind of happen in college a little bit too. And it's always going to be there.
I didn't really hear anything this past year, though. There wasn't really much
coming out of it this year. I didn't either.
And he won over the fans. I mean, obviously, I'm a little bit closer to the South Carolina fan community now, and they love him. I mean, he got a tattoo of South Carolina on his arm already, and they rep him, they love him. That's their guy, and they hope nothing but success for him in the future. So, and you can't really say that about Oklahoma fans, which they kind of did him dirty. So I get from both sides, but at the same time, I do think he's mature. I think he's better with teammates, for sure. And he's not blaming his teammates for everything. It doesn't look like he's giving up on them. It doesn't look like he's blaming them. So,
and he really could have been blaming people this year. Like, if he wanted to make headlines, he could have. Mm-hmm. And people probably wouldn't have, like, blamed him, but at the same time, like, it wouldn't have come off well overall. But
it's good to see. It's good to see that Spencer Rattler has matured, and he can bring that into the next level because he's seen it from the other side now, and I think he can just continue to grow himself, like, mentally and obviously physically as well.
Right. I don't think I could draft him. I can't draft him in the first round personally, like, with his age and, like, some of the other concerns that come. But, like, I've got a third round grade on the kid, and if you really need a quarterback, I wouldn't mind taking him, in the second round at some point.
Yeah, especially a team that has an established quarterback already that's kind of like on the outs, so you can get a year or two.
Yeah,
that's the best spot for him.
Yeah, someone that can kind of help him with the mental side of things. I think some of my problems with him too were, like, his processing. Like, he can go through the process, like, he can go through the progressions. He just kind of goes a little slow with it sometimes. And I think someone that can help him develop and, like, bring that along a little bit, for even if it's not a full year, if it's like 8 games, like, give him 8-9 weeks and, like, say, okay, we're going to throw you out after the bye week. Like a lot of teams will do. That would be really beneficial. I'm like, we mentioned Seattle last week for Penix, but, like, Seattle or, like, the Rams. I
was going to say, like, Los Angeles Rams, we're going to introduce you to your new quarterback.
The Jets, even the Jets, truly would be intrigued. Like, I think
I don't know about the Jets. I just think the Jets overall, like, the culture there, and I don't think he would fit well. But I think under Sean McVay, he'd fit well. I think not Denver. Well, no, not Denver. I think in
New
Detroit.
Orleans.
Possibly.
See, my thing with Detroit is I don't know if they're going to invest another top 100 pick or something like that in a quarterback after
I don't
Hooker.
think so. Oh, yeah. I always forget Hendon Hooker is there just because he was injured. So, yeah, I don't think they would, especially because it's the same situation. It's an older prospect.
Goff's not exactly – I think they took Hooker as kind of that insurance policy in case Goff didn't look good this year, and, like, Goff looked fine.
Yeah.
Albeit, I don't know if I would say he's, like, going to take that team where they want to go, but –
No, but he's not going to hurt them. But I 100% think, we said it for a couple other quarterbacks, but the Los Angeles Rams, this would be the perfect pick for them to learn under Matthew Stafford. What other quarterback you got for us?
I don't have all the fancy clips set up for this guy, but we'll talk about him real quick because he's kind of that next guy that the scouts, reportedly like is it's going to be Michael Pratt of Tulane. Pratt was a guy that got, some buzz, I want to say last year maybe, and he
that's
went
when I
back to
first heard of
school. And, he's largely the same person, in my opinion, as he was last year. I think he's got I think he's a great, long-term backup for your team. I don't think he's, someone I'm going to want to be my starter long-term, truthfully. He's his arm strength gets the job done. He's got really repeatable mechanics, which is nice to see. And, he's a sufficient athlete. He's not like a world beater, but he's not terrible. But he doesn't have the best arm strength. He doesn't have, the best release. His release can kind of get when he needs to get velocity, to push it downfield or, way outside, he's having to really rear back, and you can see it and you can tell it takes a little extra time. And overall, he gave me Kenny Pickett vibes. Kenny Pickett, and him are similar builds. Not the strongest arms, but, not the best athletes, but decent athletes.
And I give Kenny Pickett personally a little bit higher up there on the athletic department than I did Michael Pratt.
He's definitely a better athlete than Pratt. Just overall in general, it's just the vibes. I saw a lot of what I felt Kenny Pickett was. I think Pratt's a perfect candidate to be a long-term backup. I think the guy could have a 10-year career just being the next, I don't want to say the next Chase Daniel, but just kind of like Chase Daniel.
I know, I agree. I mean, because I was watching this tape and I just kind of sat there and I kind of forgot it was on. It was just moving, and I'm like, there's nothing really special about him. I mean, the average arm strength, average arm, the ball doesn't really jump out of his hand. Like you said, when he needs to get it there, he can get the ball there, but he's rearing back and using everything he's got just to get it there. He's not very mobile. But the thing that will give him the biggest issues, in my opinion, is he has negative awareness. I watched I think 4 or 5 different game films on him, and I swear every other play he was either sacked or getting hit while throwing the ball. He wouldn't move, and he had no. And it wasn't it was because a Spencer Rattler situation where he has nothing to do. He's staying there for a good 2, 3, 4 seconds, and then getting hit while he's trying to throw. And I'm like, do you not feel the pressure at all? Do you not know that the edge rusher's coming around the edge? Do you not see the blitz? And it just seemed to me that he was not aware of what was going on. Downfield, he's aware. He's not really putting the ball in too much harm. But around him and around the pocket, I just didn't see it from him. And that just worries me because, the amount of hits he was taking in college against the teams that he was facing. I know, for instance, I wrote down, I watched the last 3 I watched was SMU, North Texas, and South Alabama. And no offense to them, but that's not Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State. And he was just taking hit after hit after hit off of them. And there was a couple of those plays that there was nothing he could do about it. His offensive lineman missed his block, but there were plenty where he could have moved around the pocket, he could have rolled out, he could have stepped up even, and he avoids a sack, and he just didn't.
So the big thing, the elevator pitch almost with Pratt, of my opinion, is that this guy, he's got talent, obviously, but what's the upside?
Yeah.
Do you, the upside, the best case scenario is almost like a Tom Brady where it doesn't have the best physical attributes, but just is so good at distributing the ball because he's just so smart and so fast with it. And I just don't see that happening, especially with, what you said. And one of the things I noticed is he hesitates a lot, or he thinks he sees a read and then he goes to throw it, and the last second he realizes that's wrong. I'm going to throw it into a defender, and then he has to pull it back and then reset and throw. So that's my thing with Pratt is I just don't see the overall upside to make him worth a huge investment, if that makes sense. There's not the physical upside.
I think both of us.
Next guy has the physical upside.
Yeah, exactly. I think both of us, we kind of tend more towards lean on ceiling, especially once you get past those first 2 rounds, especially past day 2.
No, the guy that had Anthony Richardson number 1 last year.
You go for more ceiling than safety, especially in that part of the draft. But speaking of ceiling, I'll let you take it away with the guy who has probably one of the top tier traits that we've ever seen. and Joe Milton.
Yeah. So I guess my bad. I forgot to do the little summary thing, but it'll be done at some point. But the tagline with him is going to be generational arm strength. He's coming into the NFL with either him or Josh Allen will have the strongest arm in the league next year, and I think it is going to be Milton.
It's Joe Milton.
Yeah,
in my opinion, it's Joe Milton.
Yeah, Joe Milton's got the strongest arm I've literally ever seen for a quarterback. He's a big guy, like that's 6'5", 235. Those are his Senior Bowl measurements. He's huge, big hands. He can spin the ball. Like that's just all it is. The problem is everything else. His footwork, it's rough. His accuracy isn't always there. He struggles with going through the progressions. He struggles with timing, anticipation. He makes, these boneheaded plays where, he's throwing back cross body, everything like that. So it's tough because it's like there's so much to work with, but he's going to be 24 plus when he goes in the league, and he's largely raw still.
Yep. This is a guy that would have been drafted day 2 at minimum, even with what he put on film
10 years ago.
Well, I mean, even like if he was like 22 turning 23, if he was just like a year and a half younger.
No, I think if he's 20 turning 21, like Richardson, possibly, maybe.
Yeah. I guess so.
But
I just think if he's if Joe Milton's like 2 years younger, I think he's still getting talked about day 2, in my opinion.
So my comp that I did is athletic Jacob Eason, and I'm going to explain this one.
No, I see exactly what you mean.
So I had Cam Newton initially though. So because Cam, it's like how many other quarterbacks are even close to 6'5", 235 with that kind of arm strength and that kind of athleticism? It's a very short list. But I honestly, like at the end of the day, I felt like it was almost a disservice to Cam because I like Joe Milton's great, but Cam was a different level.
Yeah.
And even with all of the issues Cam had, Joe Milton's not there yet. Whereas Jacob Eason came in raw. He's not Eason wasn't a terrible athlete, but he wasn't like a top tier athlete. He was 4'9" athlete at quarterback, with the biggest arm out there, and Milton's pretty much that, but with better athleticism and a stronger arm.
Yeah, no, I see it, especially being a Georgia fan, seeing him come in. Eason definitely struggled with some accuracy issues. He didn't have the arm that obviously Joe Milton has. I mean, we've been saying he's generational, but he had a strong arm. He had a cannon back there. He just sometimes didn't know how to use it. And I think Joe Milton just doesn't really know how to use that, that arm he has. Because a lot of his issues, end up being accuracy issues. Therefore, stemming from such as, like you said, the footwork, his decision-making. But all in all, he's not completing passes. And a lot of the times, it's just that arm is just too strong. He needs to learn how to, create some touch with his shorter passes, not overthrow a deep ball by 30 yards. I saw that over and over and over again. So all in all, he's just a guy that you take the chance on with his arm strength.
Right. I agree. I guess just quick one-liners about a few of these guys else that I've graded. I graded 12 total. And it's probably all I'm going to grade until after the combine. And these are in order, the last bottom 3 on my list. Devin Leary, I haven't, filled out everything with him yet. But overall, this is generally how I feel. He can, put some velocity on it, but he's not a very mobile guy. He's got some injury history. He's a little bit older. And, I think he's got he's a backup quarterback, and he's probably a decent backup quarterback at the next level. But I don't think he's shown enough to be someone I'm investing in, anything worthwhile. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on Leary before I move on?
I just remember the hype he got, 2 years ago in NC State, and then he moved over to Kentucky.
Yeah, he did get some hype back then.
Yeah, and then just at Kentucky, he just kind of didn't do anything.
This was the EPA was kind of surprising me, and his accuracy being so the way this accuracy chart works is if you're at 0%, you're at the bottom of the draft class, and if you're at 100%, you're number one. So 2 out of the what is this 12 sectors he's the worst in the class in. But
yeah, he's a guy he probably shouldn't just get drafted.
Oh yeah, no, I have a UDFA grade on him. And then Austin Reed, he got some hype too because Bailey Zappi and he's in that offense, stuff like that. I don't really love Austin Reed overall, though. He drifts into pressure a lot, and I don't like his release. Like, he has a quick release at times, and then other times he's like really winding up, and you can tell his arm strength just is not there.
Yeah.
For this next level.
That's the only thing I really know about Austin Reed, just because watching a few games this year. I haven't watched his tape, but just watching the games, it's just there. Like, he's just there. There's plenty of passes that he just couldn't make.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't want to do Bailey Zappi because Bailey Zappi is like too on the nose with the Western Kentucky thing, but like Matt Flynn, kind of a similar situation. And then, this is what his accuracy chart looks like. So, as it gets deeper, he gets worse.
Yeah.
Which kind of goes along with the arm strength issue. And then finally, Sam Hartman's the last guy I've looked at. I'm surprised, like the way my grading system works, I'm kind of surprised Hartman came out below these other guys. And I think a lot of it's to do with, the big red flag I have there. So I'm not going to try to pronounce that. But basically what that is this early last year when he missed a few games at Wake Forest and he had his like rib removed. And no one knew exactly what was going on. They just said it was like a non-football injury. This is what it was. It's a form of deep vein thrombosis, which is blood clots, and it was in his shoulder. Like this syndrome thing is a shoulder thing. I am not a medical doctor. I do not know the long-lasting effects of something like this. I don't know if this can come back. But what I read about this, in illness, syndrome, whatever, is it occurs in shoulders from overuse and like over exerting the shoulder pretty much. So that's a huge concern when you're talking about a quarterback that has to use the shoulder all the time. But for all I know, actual doctor will look at it and say, nope, this isn't going to come back. Not a big deal. So, I like Sam Hartman a lot, truthfully. Like, even I'm not drafting Sam Hartman, but I think he could be a awesome backup quarterback for a long time. I think he's a great, like, I think he's got a good personality. Like, from everything I've seen of him, from going back to QB1 to at Notre Dame this year, I think he'd be a great locker room guy. I think he'd be a good backup quarterback for a long time.
He did have, like, his accuracy was pretty solid, nothing too special, but he gets the job done. But his arm's pretty weak, and he kind of panicked under pressure at times.
Yeah.
So, like, he's not a guy that you want to, yeah, and so you don't want to give him the reins to your offense, but a guy in the locker room to be your QB2, that's for a cheat. I think that's his perfect spot.
Chase Daniel style, really.
Yeah, exactly. He's just going to be there. If you need to have him start a game or two, he'll get the job done. He's not going to really, he's not going to blow games for you. He's not going to Nathan Peterman it or anything, but he's not going to go out and win you games either. So he showed plenty of promise at Wake Forest, and at Notre Dame, honestly, it was kind of a letdown. I thought he'd do better.
Yeah, I mean, so the Wake Forest thing, I never really wanted to grade him. I purposely didn't over the summer as part of my summer scouting thing, because Wake Forest has such a gimmicky offensive system. They have that, really elongated, long read option mesh type of thing where they're, it really draws linebackers up and in, safeties up and in, because, for like a second, 2 seconds, they're holding the ball, threatening to hand it off to the running back and make it look like a run play. So, and that's part of why, you see so many deep throws, and, it's a high scoring offense because DBs get drawn in by, the play action essentially. So when you kind of saw him out of that, you realize, some of the shortcomings become a little bit more obvious. But overall, I think, like we said, I think he's a a long-term backup.
Mm. So this is going to be our top 10 pre-draft. No, this is an old one.
No, I throw this up just to kind of as a reminder of where we were at, where I was at, like in the summer with everybody. So this was, last June, July, whatever. No, May, because I was getting married in June, so I was not posting the stuff in June. But so in the summer, preseason, Caleb, Maye, JJ, Jayden, Penix, and then the rest of the guys. And then this is where I am at now. So
yeah, so not JJ fell a spot. We already talked about Bo Nix and how he's gained steam moving up that board. Spencer Rattler coming out of nowhere. So yeah,
I mean it's the same top 5.
Yeah,
and then 6 of the top 7 are the same.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we align on
and
some of those things.
Milton's still 9 on both lists.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know you had promise for him this past season. Like you said in the previous episode, like he showed promise, and he improved statistically, and that was good to see. But still, he didn't perform the way that we wanted him to perform.
Yeah, you had one other guy you wanted to hit on real quick?
It was my other guy. I don't know if you watched him yet, but it's Talia. I don't know if you've seen him. You haven't
I have not watched him yet.
Yeah, so watching him gave me like the same, not vibes as far as like talent wise or how high I would have him ranked, but he gave me the same little like that little tingle where you're like, maybe there's something here when I was watching Spencer Rattler. Because like his command in the pocket and just the way he moved around it and just the poise within that pocket and rolling out of it and keeping his eyes downfield was just, it looked better than a lot of the other guys that I watched, and a lot better than some of the guys that are currently on that list on the screen. And he just played with confidence in that whole command of that offense. However, his accuracy, kind of similar to some of these other guys, the farther away the ball like had to travel, the less accurate he got. And it didn't seem like he was really reading defenses either. It was kind of like that one read, go. And it's funny because some people say that about Tua. So there might be some same concerns. I don't think he's a guy that you're going to draft day 1 for sure. Definitely, I don't think day 2 either. But that round 4, round 5, I don't know. I have to look into it a little bit more. But I want to see your thoughts if you had seen Talia yet. But I don't know. There's something there that I'm just like, it intrigues me. Like, it intrigues me more than watching Devin Leary. It intrigued me more than watching Michael Pratt, Sam Hartman. Like, it was just something there where I'm just kind of like, I got to look into it a little bit more. So I'm excited to look into it.
Sometimes, there's guys like that for I had guys like that too. So the reason I didn't grade Talia was he didn't get the combine invite. And I pretty much told myself, I'm not gonna grade anyone that did not get a combine invite that was not like already like really on my list. I'm not gonna grade them for the combine.
That's fair.
And I know like people will get drafted anyways, but it's just one of those things where like I just was not. I don't have the time, truthfully. But I do have another guy that's like you with Talia this year. My guy like with that is like Carter Bradley. I haven't had a chance to fully grade him. There's not even like a lot of tape out there on him, but like just like the little I've seen, like I do like it. So
just a guy to keep your eye on.
Yeah. Like the guy last year that I had that like a vibe with, and I don't even think he made a roster, was Tim DeMorat from Fordham. Like not really a known person.
No.
But I ended up giving him like a 7th round grade last year, and it's like, my opinion was there's enough there, like, bottom half of the 7th round. If you want a practice squad quarterback, why not? But you just get those vibes sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, my guy would have been Spencer Rattler, but now that he's gaining steam, and I've seen people even say like he's like QB3 on their core, and I'm like, all right, now it's getting a little bit out of hand. I got to move on to another guy. So right now it would be Talia. I guess I've been saying it wrong. So
I mean, dude, we were saying Tua's last name wrong for forever.
Sure. I just call him Baby Tua. So that's going to do it for our pre-combine thoughts on this year's quarterback class. Of course, these are all thoughts on the rankings are very fluid. Things will adjust as new information comes out. We watch more film, and of course, the combine shows up in their pro days. So go ahead and give us a follow on all social media platforms at Empirical_Scout. We've been putting out some good content, especially on Twitter, like Taylor's been saying, with the threads. Going through each different plays and just showing exactly what we talk about on here. But also on TikTok as well, we've been putting up a little bit of highlights and showing exactly some more film of what's going on. If you're listening to us on Spotify, let's go ahead and give us a 5-star rating. And if you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and click the like and subscribe button and let us know what you think about our rankings as they stand right now. For Taylor, we will see you next time. Peace.
1, 2,